Hello again, Jose Rodriguez back again. I am downstairs in my cozy print room enjoying some coffee. And I want to talk to you guys. I know you've been following me and learning about Prism. This is a software that is designed to allow you to produce ICC profiles without the use or the need for a spectrophotometer, which can cost you many dollars. Okay, so for $35, and this is all that it costs, you can produce absolutely top quality ICC profiles, as good as those produced by, I'm not going to mention the brand, but you know what I'm talking about. So what do you need to be able to achieve this level of color management in a way? Because you're going to have some excellent profiles to allow you to print your pictures, your images, as accurate as possible, matching the paper you're using, matching the printer you're using, and possibly even your inks if you decide to use third-party inks. So what do you normally have to do? You have to get a spectrophotometer. You open up this software that it comes with, and it allows you to then print, say, choose a certain one of three choices. For instance, I know mine allows me to print just a single sheet, 400 patches, maybe a double sheet, about 800 patches, and a triple sheet with 1600 patches. Well, think about this. If I'm profiling a paper that costs literally like $4 a sheet, I just used $12 worth of paper. Whereas in the case of Prism, I only need one sheet, because the profile chart that they provide, the image containing the patches, contains over 10,000 patches. Tiny ones. A single letter size print will allow you to then use, get this, a scanner, a regular copy type scanner, one that can scan in color, obviously, and it will be able to detect any of the little errors possibly that the printer produced trying to reproduce each one of those thousands of color patches, and it will then create a correction curve, if you want to call it that, that then becomes a profile. The profile will have all of the corrections necessary to allow the printer to print every one of those over 10,000 patches correctly. Isn't that what we want? Definitely. But the problem is, normally it costs you a lot of money. So like I'm saying, for $33 plus, if you happen to have an 8550, and many of you already do, or a Canon G620, which happens to be a tank type printer, by the way. I have one, I love it. It also has a scanner, and it has already been calibrated to use with Prism. Now, I have instructional videos on that, and yeah, I take you step by step through the process, or you can just go to my Cheney's On videos channel and watch his videos on this particular software and be amazed. So I have used it already for creating profiles for rather weird old papers that I have had here for ages, literally. Or you can just go, for instance, to an office supply store. Often they will have photographic papers there. Or if you want to use Canon papers, I have a lot of Canon papers and I want to use them on my 8550. Or I just want to create a profile, say on my Pro 1000 here, and then scan it with my 8550 and end up with a very, very good ICC profile. One that is as good as you would normally get, even with an expensive, that you would expect to be superior spectrophotometer. Now you might ask, well, if I have an 8550, many companies that sell papers will produce profiles for me. Well, I will sort of tell you that the ones you make will be a little bit better, because they are being made with your particular printer, your particular batch of paper, and your particular batch of inks. And if you think that has no effect, well, I hope you revisit that idea. It does have an effect. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of this. The first thing you do, and I have shown you how to do this on video and also on my live streams on Sunday, is you open up the image in QImage. You open up the color chart that they provide you in QImage, and you print it with everything turned off. In other words, no color management in the driver and no color management in QImage. And QImage is just about the only software that has that option. It has an option called OFF, OFF, and it will allow you to print that without any kind of introducing a little bit of correction here or correction. No. It's not going to do anything. It's going to allow you to print it. And that's what you want. You want an untampered, raw print of that image. You then let it dry thoroughly, and then you trim the edges off. There are some little tick marks that allow you to, cut it down so that you have nothing but a black margin. The image comes with a built-in black margin. You load that into your 8550 or G620, or there's another one listed in the software that only costs $70 if you don't have a printer with a built-in scanner that is profiled for Print Prism. You can just buy a $70 scanner and use that just as well. Anyway, so it comes down to this. You then load that print onto your scanner and you scan it. And there are some settings that you have to have correctly set, and you produce a scan. Now what happens at this point is that there's a little button called corner detection. It will detect the corners and it will put a little identification marker on every one of those little tiny squares. And there's so many. I'm going to show you that print. You're not going to be able to discern the little squares because they're just so tiny. But here we go. So I just made 2 profile charts for two different types of paper. One of them is a semi-gloss. Right here you can see shiny, and you can see just how many little squares. I don't know if you can see that, but anyway, there are over 10,000 of them. The same thing right here with this matte paper. So these are papers from a local supply store, like an office supply store. Unknown. There are no profiles for them available for any printer. They just simply tell you to use matte choice or a luster choice. Well, having done that, I can now use those profiles that I generated to print. This was a very difficult image to print because it is just pretty saturated, and I'm sure many of its colors are out of gamut. But I want you to take a look at this, and I hope the video does it justice. This was AI generated by a friend of mine, and it is absolutely majestic the way it turned out using those profiles that I just created using Print Prism. It's just unbelievable. I'm at a loss of words. So at first I was a little doubtful, but now I'm a believer. And so then I thought, being a weirdo like I am, and I'm always sublimating onto aluminum, and normally what happens is it's a process. You start with an image, you edit it whatever way you want to, and then you print it onto sublimation paper, which is a transfer paper, and you flip it 180 like this, so it's mirrored. Once you get it done printed on a printer with sublimation inks, you then transfer it to the aluminum sandwich onto a heat press. Again, it's a whole involved process, and you end up with a print onto the aluminum that has been coated with polyester resin. The only problem is they are often very exaggerated versions of the original. They will come out oversaturated, over contrasty, and just with a lot of pop, and quite often the colors aren't quite right. So, like, how do you solve that? Well, of course, the idea came up in my head of a profile. Wait a minute, how in the world am I going to make a profile on aluminum, right? So I decided, well, let me try it anyway. So I used a sheet of my transfer paper on my Epson XP4200. By the way, it only uses 4 colors, Sublimation inks, refillable cartridges, and it's using the chipless firmware, by the way. So I printed that chart, again, with no color management on the driver, no color management in Q image, and it looks like this. Super strange. So this is on aluminum. You can see the shininess of it. It's very, very glossy. So then I placed that on my scanner and I scanned it and I went through the process. It located all those little thousands of little patches, and then I said produce the profile. Click, and I gave it a name. So in this case it was, Sublimation aluminum. That's it. And so once I produced that profile, I loaded that profile in QImage, and then I printed something to see if it would be a very faithful reproduction of what I saw on the screen. And this time it blew my mind. Okay, so this is one of my images, and it's just a glacier scene someplace up north. Again, I generated this, it's not real, but it looks extremely real to me, and it's just amazing. The rendition of the colors, which I sort of exaggerated them a little bit on purpose just to see. It matches my monitor. It's not over enhanced any longer. It is not enhancing the colors, oversaturating them, more contrast, more pop. No, it's matching what I see on the monitor. And of course my monitor is calibrated. So by using this kind of profile on a Epson XP4200 and Hippo inks, HIPPOO or something like that, inks, I got a perfect rendition of what I saw on the monitor while sublimating to aluminum. It just doesn't happen that way. Normally there are no profiles. So I did this. I showed it to Mike Cheney, the creator of Prism, and he said that I went beyond the pinnacle of what this application was created for. That if I can do that, then there's no limit below that. In other words, there's no limit to what I can create for just regular inkjet photo media. So next I'm going to be doing some profiles on canvas, and those should really allow me to produce some beautiful paintings of the stuff that I generate. All right, so I think that is going to be it. Now normally, again, I would be doing things in front of my computer, but since the channel got hacked and it's a disaster right now, I had to create a Patreon page, and so this will go on my Patreon page first for a whole week. If you want to see this or future videos, please join Patreon, become a patron. It'll cost you a few dollars a month, and you'll have access to everything that I upload before anyone else sees it, okay, for at least a week. And then I will make it public on the regular channel. So please support the channel. That'll be the only source of income this channel has at this point. So I really would appreciate it. That way I can buy materials that I need to demonstrate things for you guys before you guys go and spend money and realize maybe that's not something you want to do. Let me do it first, and then I will show you guys, and then you guys can make a decision as to wanting to try this or that. So that's going to be it for now. Thank you so very much for everything. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. And don't forget to like. Click that little like button. When you subscribe, please click on the bell so that you are notified every time I upload something new. And that's going to be more often from now on. Now that I got my room nice and cleaned up, by the way, I got rid of 5 printers. I have more room here, and I have one that I need to fix. a very important one. And we'll talk about that on another video. All right, so that's going to be it. Happy printing, everybody, and bye-bye.